Hello, everyone. Welcome back. This is LaToya, and I wanted to get on because I've been reading this book and I've referenced this author many times. If you follow me, like on Instagram or Facebook or anything like that, I share this book right here called Sacred Contracts by Caroline Myss or Miss. I apologize if I'm pronouncing her last name incorrectly, but this book is awesome. And I got it back in like springtime of last year, and I started reading it. And then after that, as I got to a certain point, because the book is interactive, and when it got to a certain point, I stopped. And after that, I went to a used bookstore and I found two more of her books at the used bookstore. And I read both of those. And as a matter of fact, I may have them both right here since I'm right near some of my books. Not all of them. Not all my books have been taken out from the boxes yet. But let me see if I have any of them. Yes, I do. So I have also. Let me get myself acquainted. Let me get myself together. I'm on my bed. So, Anatomy of the Spirit. This book is awesome, and I've heard great reviews about this when I shared that I had this book. Anatomy of the Spirit is awesome, and I got it at a time that I really needed it to read it. Because I was just getting more clarity about things. Invisible Acts of Power, man, this book is great. I love it. And maybe because I'm one of those people that I'm a firm believer that you can't just read a book once and just get something out of it. Just like when it comes to certain type of movies, like I love movies where you have to watch the movie over and over again to pick up things. And I feel like with these books, it's the same thing. So I may one day do, when I reread these books, share what I've learned from it, the second time around, third time around, or whatever. So that's what I'm going to do for Sacred Contracts. And as far as with Sacred Contracts, the way that I look at it is the way that I interpret it from her book. Is that it is like your purpose of being here on earth, and how important it is to know what your purpose is and why you are here. Because, well, it's important for me to know my purpose and why I am here, because, it brings more meaning to life. You know what I'm saying? And that it's imperative for me to know what my mission and purpose is, not only from a, some may people say your career standpoint or things like that, from like a physical standpoint, but like physical standpoint is as far as your body and your emotions and your mind. It's all of that. And this book, there's some notes that I read that I wrote down. And I kind of debated on whether I was going to go back to like the introduction and like do reviews on the introduction first and then come to where I am now, because the part that I am on the book is a very interesting part. I'm on chapter 5 where I start to distinguish what my archetypes are, and I'm kind of jumping around. So in her belief, and I believe, don't quote me on this, I believe that she may have gotten some of these ideas. She gotten some of these ideas from other people. But in the book, she talks about how we have 12 archetypes. And archetypes to me are just symbols, representations of different sides of us, different parts of us. And that sometimes we may be operating from the, there's dualities and everything, but it's all one and the same. And then we may be operating from like the dark or the light part of ourselves, depending on a situation. Things may trigger us to do certain things, and we may not know it. We may not understand why we keep getting into relationships, or I may not understand why I keep running into relationships. I'm just using this as an example, where I am constantly being the helper, support, like I'm always helping, but don't even feel like I'm getting help in return. And then being able to dig deep and to look at different archetypes, different parts of me, I'm able to understand why I attract those relationships and those people into my life, like what role I am playing, and how I can use that part of myself to benefit me, and so in the way she talks about it is that we have 12 archetypes, and that there's 4 major ones, meaning the child part of us, the victim, the saboteur, and the prostitute. The child part of us, is self-explanatory, and it's our inner child, the things that we made, the beliefs that we may have from when we were little, how we were able to cope with things, our belief systems, our thoughts, or whatever, from our tribe, our family, whoever raised us, and things like that, and how we were able to cope in some of our beliefs, and how in some ways, because I can tell you there are some things that I know that I still have a reaction, and I know it stems from when I was a child. However, I now know that is in the past, and I can reshape my future. But I'm just saying this as an example, that there's always a child part of us, and how to really hone into the inner child, which is joyful and free, and and confident, and just speaks truth. That's the part of the inner part of me that I really want to embrace, but also nurture that part of me that that needs the love and the nurturing and the attention and whatnot, and just being able to be present as a child, and being able to tap into that. And then she talks about, like I said, the victim part of us, where we feel like we are being attacked, where we feel like we are losing control, where we feel like where we allow people to run over us, or we can't feel like we can't make any choices, and how that carries out into our lives. So she talks about that, and talks about the prostitute, which is how we sell ourselves, short. Like, for example, if you're at a job where you do not love it, and you know it's affecting your health, it's affecting you, but you're still there because it's your only means, and you just feel like there's nothing else, or you may be in a relationship where it's not a good relationship. However, it provides you with support in some way or capacity, and that is the way of selling yourself. And the key to that is with the saboteur is having faith. That's what she talks about, having faith. And because when you have faith, this is a quote she had, I'm paraphrasing it, but this was powerful. Or I don't know if it was a quote she had or a quote that somebody else had, and she mentioned it. But it says that when you have faith, you cannot be sold. You can't be bought, or you can't be sold, or something like that. To me, that was powerful. When you have faith, you can't be bought. You know what I'm saying? And to me, that is powerful. And pardon me if I'm just rambling. Listen, I know this video can be lengthy. I know how I can run my mouth when it comes to this type of stuff. So yeah. And then the fourth one is, what did I talk about? I talked about the child, the victim, the saboteur, and the prostitute. Oh, I might have mixed things up. I don't know if I did, but excuse me if I did. What I just talked about selling yourself, selling yourself short, or not thinking, that is prostitute. My bad. When you're in that relationship with someone that you don't need to be with, but you feel like you need love, or you feel like they are the one, they are the meal ticket, like they have the money, and you feel like you can't, you've been living a certain type of way and you can't get away from. That's the prostitute part. It's not just about selling your body. You know what I'm saying? It's about selling your soul and selling your dignity and things like that. So that's the prostitute, my bad. Or when you at that job where you don't like, but you're staying there because out of fear, and that's where the faith factor come in. And that's not the saboteur, that is the prostitute or whatnot. And then the saboteur, that's the one where you where there may be great things coming to you, but you don't. There may be great things coming to you in your life, great people, great things, but you're not, but not having the ability to receive, not be. And to me, that's a powerful thing. That's the one I really am working on right there. The victim one and the all of them to a certain degree, but that one got me, is about the ability to receive. To receive, and to, when you're in a great relationship or a loving relationship, or or just great opportunities come your way, and for some reason you're just not taking the opportunity. That's a saboteur. So those are the four. And sorry if I was rambling, but I really like this book. So those are the four main ones, and then she says that we have 8 other ones. She talks about that in the book. And before we get to that part, she talks about there's so much, because I feel like the chapters are not super duper short. So my main focus is going to be the figuring out which other 8 are my archetype, like which ones connect with me the most. And she has an appendix, which I'll show you. It's right here. I'm going to try to get to the beginning of the book. She has an appendix of the different types of archetypes. I don't know if you can really see that. Excuse the lighting. It's not the best, but the appendix has the different types of archetypes, like or addict, or alchemist, angel, artist, athlete, beggar, avenger. She has the different types of child archetypes, clown, all of those. And I'm at the part of the book where I start to do my interviews for my archetypes and try to figure out which one suits me, which one resonates with me on an intuitive level. And she taught in the chapter, she just discusses how excuse me, I'm just going through some of my notes. She talks about how the archetype, because I wrote some notes on this, will guide my sacred contract and have a direct influence on my physical relationships with people. That's one of them. It supports and understanding dynamics in relationships. And yeah, so I picked out 8, or more than 8, that I'm going with, but I'm still going to do there's questions that she has for the readers to ask themselves, like what drew you to choose these, and different questions. And it's as if you want to be present and just go into the zone of answering those questions as if you are that archetype. And it takes you can go into meditation, you can, do some breathing, you can, relax or something so you can get in the mode. Today I read about another way of writing a letter to the archetypes and stating how I discover the archetype, and how I discovered it, and ask questions like what you need and things like that. So that's what I did, because in the book, she talks about using the child, connecting with the child archetype, using that as an example. And I thought that was perfect. I was like, great, that's an easy one to start with, an easier one to start with, connecting with that child part of me or whatnot. And it was powerful because, I wrote a letter instead. To me, that was easier than to just answer those questions that was recommended. Just writing a letter in second person or whatnot, talking about how I discovered that part, the child archetype, and when I see it comes up in positive ways and in more ways that are not beneficial, and asking the my child part of me, like, what do you need? What do you need so that, you know, you can stay in your place, and so that I can just like, how can I be your friend? You know, and it was interesting because I went into meditation because I was really feeling those feelings, those feelings that I be feeling, and I went into meditation, and I got out, and in that meditation, I wrote down, because she recommends that when you're writing in the archetype form, in the child archetype um, method, like when you're in that zone of the archetype, to write in the hand that's not dominant. So when you're writing the letter, write in the dominant hand, and when you're writing as the child archetype, and you know, in your zone, then you write with your non-dominant hand, which is my left hand. So I wrote with my left hand, and I was talking about how I wanted to be loved. That was the biggest thing. I wanted to be loved. I wanted to be nurtured, pay attention to me, spend time with me, love me. I want approval. I want attention. That's what it was. And that's the theme right now for me. One of the things that I'm going through and working with. And I just feel like, yeah, I said, this stuff is good. And then I was very thankful for that, So I was like, I'm looking forward to looking at the other archetypes and seeing if it resonates with me. Because sometimes, sometimes she mentioned that sometimes when a person goes through the archetypes, they may realize that it's not a good match. It's not really what they were drawn to. So for me, I chose the guide, the healer, judge, martyr, mediator, pioneer, queen, slave, warrior, and destroyer. And I chose those for now. And so I'm going to go through each of them and do what I did with the child archetype, we're writing it, and see how it resonates with me. Also in there, in appendix, when it talks about the different types of archetypes, she has different movies and like books and things like that, or religions or myths that's linked to each archetype, to see, so you can go and research those and see if they resonate with you in your life. But it's powerful. I really am enjoying this book. There's so much I can go into with this book. One of the things that clicked to me, that I had a big epiphany on, was when she compared, in the earlier chapters of the book, she compared the sacred contract with a business contract, and she broke it down, Caroline Myss. And I'm gonna see if I can find it. Let me just find it real quick, since I have the book right in front of my face. I mean, this book is just awesome. But sacred contracts and myths. Okay, I found it. She talks about how, like in a legal contract, two parties agree to participate in some tasks or hold themselves accountable to the same commitments for a mutually beneficial reason. In a sacred contract, an individual and the divine commit to a mission that promises to expand the individual's spiritual consciousness as well as further the expression of divine on the earth. Then in a secular contract, you commit to doing what you must to fulfill the terms of the contract. Legally, you may also agree to work with subcontractors or obtain raw materials you need to complete the agreed-on task. In a sacred contract, the divine guarantees that all materials or energy that are essential to the completion of your task will be provided. These provisions can include anything from receiving necessary earthly capital, to being guided into certain relationships or developing an illness. A legal contract holds you responsible for the quality of the project or product. You warrant that you are qualified for the task. Although you have everything you need within to fill the sacred contract, you will not be provided with everything you want. That, to me, that stood out, man. You will probably have to learn that you have the inner resources to do what you need to do. You will have to learn your strength and capacity to push yourself beyond your apparent limitations. When I read that again, because like I told you, I read this first time in the spring, going into the summer. The second time, when I read that again, I was just like, whoa. I was just like, wow. now I truly understand the meaning of that we have all that we need, that we are safe and secure, that I have all that I need, I'm safe and secure. That, and with all the things going on, like in my life now, I can honestly just be like, sometimes like, man, but knowing that I am doing the work and that things are going to be great, that things are already done, it's a powerful thing. There was something else that I wanted to bring up from previous chapters, because I'm more so focusing on chapter 5 about, and chapter 5 is, let me tell you what the name of that, since I'm currently on that right now. Chapter 5 talks about identifying your archetypal patterns. So that's where I'm at now. So I'm going to be doing that. I'm looking forward to really seeing what resonates with me, because I'm not going to even deny, when I first was talking about this, when I first was reading this book the first time around, I really was unsure of like which ones to pick. And now that a lot of things have happened since I read this book for the first time, and I just feel more, it's just different reading it again. So I feel more sure about picking, being in tune with picking the best one for me. And this may not be for everyone. This may not resonate with you, but like I said to someone, it's not for everyone, but it's for, like, I'm feeling it, like it's for me. And the thing I like about what she does is she does a lot of extensive research. She references different types of religions and things like that for people, for even people who are dead sold on their religion and things like that. Even though me personally, I don't identify with a specific religion, but I like the fact that she brings those stories into this to kind of show everyone that we all are on the same path and journey. It just looks different, but it's all the same type of path. I just love that. But there was one part in the beginning that really stood out to me. And she talks about this in Anatomy of the Spirit, the book I showed you. Is our biography becomes our biology. Knowing your mission can help me live my life in a way that makes best use of my energy. And that's powerful. That's powerful. I got just the stories that she talks about in this book and in her other books is just it's just proof that our bodies, the universe, give us so many signs of the path that we are meant to take. And the question is like, are we going to take them? And I remember in the beginning of the book, she talks about that. In her introduction, she has a quote from someone, from a president of India. His name is Sarvepalli Radhakrishnan, president of India from 1962 to 1967. It says, the oldest wisdom in the world tells us we can consciously unite with the divine while in this body, for this man is really born. If he misses his destiny, nature is not in a hurry. She will catch him up someday and compel him to fulfill her secret purpose. So no matter what, we can't get away from our purpose and destiny. Now, I know some people don't believe that, our soul, some people believe that when you die, that's it. But it's too many things that I've experienced. It just, from my just connecting with ancestors who are not here no more and things like that. It's hard. That's something that is hard for me to not believe. You feel me? It's like we are all reflections of each other. There's no coincidences. It's just amazing. I enjoy it. But that's all that I have for now, because this is going on 25 minutes and I've already talked a lot, and I really wanted to, I really thought about starting from the beginning of doing the introduction and then, going through each chapter, but I'm like, I'm right in chapter 5, I'm present, and then I'm present right now in chapter 5, and I just talked a little bit about, what I read so far. But this book is amazing, and these are one of these books that you can't just breeze through it. It's interactive. So that's all that I have for now, and have a wonderful and blessed day.